Hi, I'm Mike from PokeTips Official, and welcome to episode 0 of my Pokemon Sun and Moon Extreme Randomizer Nuzlocke. This playthrough of Pokemon Sun and Moon, my friends, is going to be the absolute hardest run of Pokemon Sun and Moon that you will ever see. Right now in the background, I'm just playing through the introduction of the game. As we all know, Pokemon Sun and Moon has a very long introduction, and I figured you guys have all seen that a million times, so there's no reason for me to play through it one more time with a full episode. So with this episode, I'm just going to speed up the boring stuff, and we'll be able to start off episode 1 with a bang. But I figured I might as well take this opportunity to tell you guys the rules of this Nuzlocke, or what a Nuzlocke and a randomizer even are, and what makes this run so extreme. So, for those of you that don't know, a Nuzlocke is a type of challenge in Pokemon. A lot of people do it if they want to increase the difficulty of their game. It's unofficial and there are a lot of different variations on the rule set, but they all follow a basic formula. Number 1. You can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter on a route. This means you can't just keep encountering Pokemon over and over and over again and catch whatever you want. Nope, the first Pokemon you see on a route is the first Pokemon you catch. After that, no more. If you knock it out, too bad, you can't catch anything on that route. Number 2, you fight all your battles on the mode set. This means you don't get to freely switch your Pokemon out whenever your Pokemon knocks out the Pokemon that you're fighting against, making this a lot harder because there are no more free switches. If you switch, you're gonna take some damage. Number 3, all Pokemon that faint are considered dead and unusable. Now usually people release their dead Pokemon, but I'm not heartless like that and I'm gonna keep them away in a box, never to be used again, which does still kinda sound heartless, but hush. And finally, all your Pokemon have to have nicknames. And a randomizer is basically a modification to your game that makes it so all the wild Pokemon and trainers Pokemon are completely random. So that way you never know what's coming up next. This means you could be walking down Route 1 and find anything from a Pidgey all the way to an Arceus, which I think is super fun. Alright, now that we have the basics out of the way, let's talk about what makes this run so extreme. Well, for starters, every single trainer of the game now has at least 2 Pokemon on their team. This might not sound like much at first, but considering how many trainers just have 1 Pokemon and they're done, this is a huge increase to every single trainer. Next up, all the trial captains Kahunas and Elite Four have 6 Pokemon on their team, which is a huge difficulty spike. These trainers and many more will now be using Mega Evolutions and a lot more Z moves, which will make this game much harder. On top of those 2 changes, levels have been increased by around 10% across the board. So this means once we get into the later game, you'll be seeing a lot more higher leveled Pokemon. So for myself, I'm placing a 6 item limit per battle. In the beginning of the game, it might sound like a lot, but later on in the game, when Pokemon are doing a lot of damage per hit, it's going to be really tough. And I'm going to have to think a lot more about when I want to use items. Another thing that I'm not going to be using is Pokemon Refresh. I just think it's unfair how some Pokemon will randomly have a chance to survive hits at 1 HP. I'm not going to be using it in my run at all. I'm not going to be playing with Pinwheel Claws, which basically means that even though some routes like Route 1 have different sections of the route where you can catch different leveled Pokemon, I'm just going to be sticking to 1 encounter per route, so every time the route changes, that is when I can catch a new Pokemon. Also, I don't think it's that necessary for a randomizer run, but I am going to be playing with Dupe's Claws, which basically means I can't catch 2 of the same Pokemon. If I already have 1 Pokemon, and my first encounter for another route is the same Pokemon that I already have, I'll just be able to find the new Pokemon on that route. Now, to make up for the difficulty of the run, I will be using the EXP share item because I believe I'm going to be going through teammates like crazy. These people will have very strong Pokemon, be using very strong moves, so I don't think it'll be much of an issue. Plus, it makes it more fun for me because I won't have to grind up my team as much. If I find out that it's becoming an issue and making the game too easy, which I don't think it will, but if it does, I will turn it off. And of course, there are lots of other customizations, like trainers using shiny Pokemon more often, because I think that's pretty fun, music changes, and much more. And now, my friends, we begin the Nuzlocke. So, I wanted to make it even more fun and have you guys choose my starter. The starters have been randomized, and even though they still look like Rowlet, Litten, and Popplio, we have 3 brand new options. So, we have the Ghost type Mimikyu, the Ice type Articuno, whoa, and the Normal type Aipom. So, what I want you guys to do is go ahead and comment below which Pokemon you think I should choose. The one that gets the most votes will be my starter. So guys, go ahead and please choose Articuno. Just kidding. Choose whichever one you want, but I would love to start with Articuno, so keep that in mind. Alright guys, so I hope you're all excited for this Nuzlocke like I am, and I will be seeing you guys next time with episode 1.